For folks to be pulled up virtually, we'll start with you here in person, sir. Please introduce yourself, and the floor is yours for 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Brandon Wark, here representing myself. I want to start off with this quote. A free self-governing people needs full information concerning the activities of its government, not only to shape its views of policy and to vote intelligently in elections, but also to compel the state, the agent of the people, to act responsibly and account for its actions. This is from a Colorado Supreme Court ruling in 1983, Cole versus the state. Really talking about the importance of open meetings laws, open government laws. You know, the government works for the people, and I understand that sometimes the county clerks and others in government positions might feel undue pressure or be inundated by needs of the constituents, needs of the community. But really, that's the job of the government, is to serve the people. And unfortunately, this bill moves us in the wrong direction, specifically around the 3 to 5 day change for getting those CORA requests back to the people. Specifically, of course, this carve-out for media organizations is of particular concern. On page 7 of the bill at the top, it does say that these provisions do not apply if the requester of the public records is a mass medium organization, as defined in section 1390.119. To let people know what it says in 1390.119, that's in Colorado Revised Statute here. It says a mass medium means any publisher of a newspaper or periodical, wire service, radio or television station, or network news, or feature syndicate, or cable television system. Now, this, of course, excludes everybody who's on the internet these days. I mean, this might be some outdated language, but nonetheless, there's a lot of citizen journalists out there who like to use CORA to get information about what's happening in our local governments. So to dismiss a large portion of the constituency of Colorado to say that they don't matter, that their voices are not as important as the mass medium organizations that have lots of money to pay for these CORA requests, is doing a disservice to the people. I mean, the truth is, folks, the people of Colorado are losing trust in the government, and for good reason. I mean, we see bills like this that might be well-intentioned on some level and some good stuff in the bill, but unfortunately, carving out special protections, special privileges for the mass media organizations, the corporate news networks, and saying that their voices or their need to know what's happening with the government is more important than the public's need to know, is 100% against this idea of representative government. And it's an assault on the dignity of just average taxpayers and people in our community who want to know what our government is doing. There are other ways to facilitate the needs of the public to know what's happening in the government. The city of Loveland, for example, posts all their emails online. You can search online, find out what they're doing. The city clerk doesn't have to be bogged down with CORA requests so that the people can know what the government's doing. So please vote against this bill and protect the right of the public to know what's happening in our government. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, what questions do you have for this panel? Did I see your hand up bottoms? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, let me ask this to Mr. Wark. Have you seen how citizens have used CORA to get important information out there? Can you give me an example if you have?
Mr. Wark.
Yes, thank you very much for the question there. As some of the other speakers alluded to, there have been some issues where, in particular, some of the school districts across Colorado, in particular this last year, Jefferson County has been less than forthcoming with some of the information coming out about potential abuses by staff members, other issues, some really high-profile stories that, unfortunately, parents were worried that the information was just not be forthcoming from the school district itself. So the use of CORAs to get emails, to find out some background information was a valuable tool for parents in Jefferson County just months ago, just ongoing now, to find out where these levels of abuse were happening, how these school members, employees were involved with the children, what the connections were with maybe other people that have been accused of other things. And it's been a useful tool for parents. It's been a really important. The CORA has been very important for the parents of Jefferson County recently, and then previously as well, unfortunately, up in Larimer County, there's been some news stories there as well where there was some stuff going on that the parents didn't necessarily agree with, and unfortunately, CORA was the only way to get this information out there. And sometimes we see where the news media might have their own interpretation of how things go. So to give them a couple days in advance notice or able to get this information as opposed to the public could definitely shape that narrative and cause some change there. It's not fair to the public to be treated, as many others have said, as second-class citizens. The parents, the taxpayers, the public deserves to get that information just as quickly as the news media does.
All right, Representative Bradley.
Thank you. And my question is to Mr. Wark or Mr. Gaines. You talked a little bit about your websites being alternative to media, and I was just wondering how that could affect, this bill could affect you.
Mr. Wark?
Yes, thank you for the question. I do have a website called freestatecolorado.com that I started 5 years ago, and I've done interviews with thousands of views, written articles. I've used CORA requests myself to get information out about what's been going on with our state and local governments. And there's definitely a need and an interest in the public to find that information out there. And, you know, I'm just a person who works a full-time job, but I believe in my community and want to be an advocate for liberty and freedom and the values that I think my community represents. And so, you know, this bill unfortunately puts me in a different category, and it's unfair that a big corporate news entity could have special privileges. Say there's a breaking news story out there, and I wouldn't be able to get that information as quickly, and putting me at a disadvantage. It's kind of rigging the market that way, if you will, in as much as that alternative media, internet media, and podcasts, websites, this is the new frontier, and unfortunately, this bill kind of neglects that segment of our new citizen journalism.
Okay,